Every industry will have one or the other kind of structured recruitment process, and interview forms an integral part of this structured recruitment process. In this video, I'm going to tell you about 5 commonly asked questions in an interview for teachers. Coming up. What is going on? My name is Ramesh. Welcome to another video on Mudgal's Musings, a channel dedicated to increasing your productivity. If this happens to be your first time here, consider subscribing because I keep posting one interesting video every single week to help you increase your productivity. And don't forget to hit that bell button so that you don't miss out anything exciting on this channel and you get notified every time I upload a new video. I'm going to talk about 5 of the most important and most commonly asked questions in interviews, which I also ask, and I'm sure even many other people who are recruiting teachers, they will keep asking these questions. And what is that number one question which generally gets asked in an interview for a teaching job? What is your teaching philosophy? This actually has got a background to it in the sense that you must be aware of what is happening in the education world. So you need to have a fair idea of your teaching philosophy. So if you have already happened to be a teacher with a few years of experience, I'm sure you would have formed some kind of an opinion about your teaching philosophy by then. If this happens to be your first interview, you will still have to have some kind of statements written regarding your teaching philosophy. So your statements can read something like this. I believe it is my ultimate goal as a teacher to make sure every single one of my students realizes his or her potential. This could be one statement. The other statement could be that to help all my students achieve their fullest potential according to their abilities at their own pace. These are statements. But these statements need to be qualified with some kind of explanation, some kind of a description of your teaching philosophy. The second most commonly asked question during the teaching interviews is, why did you become a teacher? Your answer could be that, see, I have always wanted to be a teacher because I feel that with teaching, I could make a difference in my students' lives. That could be one answer. Well, there could also be other answers because you decided to become a teacher because you are inspired by another teacher. These are certain very positive aspects which can be brought in your answers when you are answering a question like, why did you become a teacher? Up next, what would you do if you are in an X kind of a situation? You are in a particular situation. So the interview panel may pose a situation to you. They may give you a situation and they would expect you to react. How do you respond in such a situation? Let's say they could throw you a question about you have a student who is very disruptive in the class, who is not paying attention to you, who could also be disturbing your class. How would you manage this situation? This is one such question. Second question could be related to you have a very difficult colleague, difficult to work with colleague, your parallel teacher, maybe you're a science teacher in grade 5. There is another science teacher in grade 5 and both of you are expected to work in tandem, but you find that person very difficult to work with. So how would you manage that kind of a situation? The third situation could be, imagine that you have had a disagreement with your supervisor, with your coordinator, with your vice principal, with your headmistress or headmaster or principal. How would you manage that kind of a situation? So if you have been a seasoned teacher, you have already worked as a teacher, have a few years of experience, so you will already have a fair idea of how to answer to these questions. But if you are a newbie, then you need to do your homework well. What are these commonly thrown situations in a school or commonly arising situations in a school, and how you as a teacher is expected to respond to these situations? So if you go back to the first question about the disruptive student, you would probably want to answer that question by stating that you would want to talk to the student separately after the class and try to find out what is bothering him, why he or she is not paying attention in the class. Is there something you as a teacher could do to help the boy or girl? The fourth commonly asked question is about How will you ensure that all students learn? You see, education today is very wider in the sense that it is inclusive education, which means students of different backgrounds and different abilities are all embraced and they're all learning together in an inclusive environment. And the schools and the institutions, they want to ensure that the teachers who are coming, they are equipped with the skills and the attitudes to become successful in an inclusive learning environment, because every student has the right to learn, and schools and the teachers have the responsibility of delivering learning to these students. So the question is very pertinent and you need to be prepared to answer this question. So what would be your answer in this question? So you can actually answer stating that you would want to conduct some kind of a survey, or you would want to go with any kind of already existing baseline studies or feedbacks, or if there are students of determination, you would want to go into the files, you want to find out about their individual education plans if they have, and you would adapt your teaching methodology to suit the individual needs of all sets of students that you are having in the class. Related to this question itself as to how will you ensure that all students learn, your response could also involve something related to the use of data, analysis of data, like the student achievement data, attainment data, progress data. How do you make use of data to inform your teaching? How do you transform your teaching methodology? How do you reach out to those students who are not performing well? What would be your step 1, step 2, step 3 to ensure that the curriculum and your teaching is accessible to students of all different abilities and different achievements? The last and the final most commonly asked question is, describe a day in your classroom. This is a typical question which most of the school leaders would like to ask prospective teachers. So you will have to be kind of ready with your answers. How do you prepare? How is your day going to be? How are you going to prepare the previous day? And what would you do first thing? So you might want to walk the interview panel through a typical 40 minutes or 50 minutes or a 1 hour period as to how you would conduct one particular class. What would be your starter? How would you develop the lesson? How would you engage the students? What are the groups that you are going to create, or the teams that you are going to create, or the activities that you are going to create, or the resources that you would keep ready for your class, and how would you end the lesson, and how would you give any extension learning or home learning? How do you assign any home learning for the students? So have a mental map of one lesson plan ready in your mind so that you are able to respond to that question convincingly. These are the 5 most commonly asked questions which are very pertinent, and they continue to be asked today. They were being asked in the previous years, and I'm sure they're going to be asked in the coming years to come as well. In addition to these common questions, there are going to be a few more questions which are hygiene questions, which means they're definitely going to be there in every interview. One thing about your education background, you need to brief the interview panel about your qualifications, your subject expertise, and things like that. They could be, they would want to know about your experience, if you have some experience, what schools you have worked in, the curricula that you have worked, and the kind of nationalities in the student profile that you have worked with, and the additional responsibilities that you might have handled as a teacher. Now, it is also important in any interview for that matter, you must be ready with some kind of study of the organization that you are going to attend an interview with. You must know about their vision, their mission, their values, their presence in different places, their education philosophy, if they have won any awards and accolades. All these important matters are going to be very, very essential, and they are definitely very pertinent in an interview scenario. That's all on Mudgal's Musings this week. Thanks for watching this video. Like it if you like it, and do share the video among your friends and acquaintances just in case they might also be interested in watching such videos. Question of the day: what other unique questions that you have faced as a teacher? Do mention them in the comments below. Till I see you next time, have a wonderful time ahead. Bye-bye.